Amate House dreamed of creating a program that would transform young adults into community leaders through profound experiences of service to others. For 34 years, Amate House has brought this vision to life through the personal, professional, and spiritual development of its volunteers. In honor of the founders, Amate House recognizes alumni who have answered the gospel call to love through exemplary service to the poor and marginalized. This year, we recognize Nancy Zachar Fett for her dedication to the ideals of faith, service, and community in her life and work. Nancy was part of the 1990-1991 Amate House community.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
She served at the I Have a Dream program in the Cabrini Green neighborhood, where she worked with high school students to support them towards graduation and college acceptance. Nancy continued to work at her service site after her year with Amate, serving as the program director at I Have a Dream and running one of the first AmeriCorps programs in the country. During this time, she earned her master's in social work from the Jane Addams College of Social Work at UIC. Nancy returned to her alma mater, Loras College in Dubuque, Iowa, where she has over 20 years of experience as a social work faculty member. She has worked extensively in her community around poverty issues and other social causes. Her work in the community is impressive. She serves on the board of Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Dubuque and volunteers for the Community Foundation of Greater Dubuque, the United Way, and the Winter Games Special Olympics Committee. Most exciting, Nancy is joining the record number of women running for office this year.
Woo!
With a platform focused on education and justice for the poor and marginalized, she is running for Iowa State Representative for District 57, where she lives with her husband Scott and two kids, Ben and Addie. It is my pleasure to present the Founders Award to Nancy Zachar Fett.
Thank you. So Peter spoke up and said to Jesus, "Lord, how good it is that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." This quote from Matthew has always stuck with me since Amate. Peter was so thrilled to be in the situation that he was in, and he wanted to make it last. Amate House was like that. We had an amazing year that we wanted to keep going even though we knew it couldn't. We experienced the kingdom moment that year together. We experienced the transfiguration. And we didn't necessarily want to leave that mountain. But the next part of the gospel passage, right after the transfiguration, is just as important. Peter, James, John, and Jesus walked down the mountain. And it's down in the valley of the mountain with real people who have real problems, that Jesus continued his work of healing and teaching. Jesus would not have met the 2 blind men who needed sight if he had stayed on the mountain. His disciples would not have heard the greatest commandment, to love one another, if they had stayed on the mountain. Jesus allowed his compassion to guide his life, and his disciples carried that value forth. And all of this was done after they came down from the mountain. There's so much of Jesus' work that needs our attention still. People need to be fed and clothed. They need to be cared for and visited. They need to be seen. And yes, we need the mountaintop experiences of Amate House or retreats to give us the fuel we need to work at the bottom of the mountain. Almost 30 years later, yikes, so many of us are still trying to follow the command to love. We are still building relationships that cross lines of socioeconomic status, race, gender, and ability. We are still seeking justice through advocacy, witness, and solidarity with our most vulnerable brothers and sisters. We are still seeking those kingdom moments in our own areas that we work in the United States. And when we need to renew ourselves, when we need to be recharged with others who are committed to doing this most important work, we know to go to the mountain for a bit, to hear God more clearly. Amate House taught us to do that. Amate House taught us service and community. It gave us the mountaintop. And from there, we are better able to see the valleys we were called to work in. Thank you for this recognition. It feels good to be back in the fold and reminded of the impact and importance of Amate House on my life. Thank you.
That embodied the core values of Amate House, and he provided extraordinary support to make the work of Amate House possible and successful. Father Ron studied at the University of St. Mary of the Lake and was part of the Mundelein Seminary ordination class of 1972. Father Ron was the co-director of the Archdiocese Department of Parish Vitality and Mission. He was regarded as an expert in liturgy, parish life, and the rite of Christian initiation for adults. Before joining the Department of Parish Vitality and Mission in May of 2016, Father Ron was pastor of St. Mary of the Annunciation Parish in Mundelein. The parish built a new church and pastoral center and grew from 200 to 1,600 families under Father Ron's leadership. Father Ron had a dream of renewal for the church and was a leader in parish engagement and revitalization.